Yeah. Uptown. Yeah, yo, we kicking it live. Vince and Stevie D, OWSPORTS Podcast is the place to be. Bill's Mafia, repping the red, white, and blue, no doubt. With Josh Allen, just stand up and shout. Gang Green, coming with that New York flair. Jets in the mix, you know they taking it there. The rivalry is fierce, but they keep it 100. Legends in the making, pressure never stunted. From MetLife to Highmark, bright lights when the night's dark. Touchdown, dream, steel beams, leave a big spark. Bills and Jets, we clash on the field, but on this podcast, we keep it sealed. Respect for the game, we all in the zone. Vince and Stevie D, we holding our own. So tune in tight, don't miss a beat. OW Sports, where the real ones meet. Sit back.
It's OW Sports, the fastest growing podcast about the Buffalo Bills and New York Jets. You get the best takes, the most engaging interviews, and they are always keeping it real. So sit back, relax, and get ready to talk some NFL. Now here's your hosts, Vince and Stevie D.
And welcome back to another edition of Official Word Sports. I'm Vince. I'm here with my co-host Stevie D. And it seems like it's been forever since we've sat together doing this show side by side, right? But another week is in the books, and this is just our thing. This is just our thing. We say it every single year. We are now at the quarter pole.
It is too fast.
It is. When you think about it, it's almost as if just last week we were complaining about players not playing in training camp. I guess, DVD, we could have used these first 4 weeks as our training camp. Is that the way the owners look at it? Is that the way the GMs and the coaches look at it? Use these first 4 weeks as your training camp so that they can get prepared and ready for the meat of the season. Except there's a little small flaw to that. For certain teams, you're 0-4, you're 1-3. You've just about played yourself out of any chance of making it to the playoffs. Don't you think you should have done some of these things beforehand, make some of those decisions beforehand? We're not here to get into all of that, though. We're really not. Hey, there's Rob. Hey, Rob, how are you? We're not. We're at the quarter pole, and let's just start off, Stevie D. Let's look around the league. I want to start no other place than Cincinnati. What are they doing over there in Cincinnati? They don't even look like a college team. They look like a high school team, right? You know how some of those high schools have like these stud players? Well, that's Chase and Higgins, right? All the while, you got 9 other guys that are lining up on offense, and you got a quarterback that looks like he's a freshman in high school, and the game is just too fast. And it's shocking to me. It really is shocking how when he was called into duty before, he took the league by storm. You would think that he would be able to build off of that. This is what his play right now is what I would have expected then, not now.
And he's a free agent, so any hope he had to get somewhere else is fleeting.
You're right, Rob. You're right on so many cases. And the JV team is perfect. It's really hard to say. I don't feel bad for Cincinnati, but in a way I do, right? Because I will say on paper, they did the right thing, right? They played their players. They got them ready. They said, we are not going to get off to a slow start like we traditionally do. They ended up coming to terms with Hendrickson. They said, okay, we think we have everything ready to go. They even settled whatever squabble they had with their first-round pick, right? They even settled that. They got everything ready to go. And now you look at them, Stevie D.
I bet you that GM wish he had that extra $14 million out of Trey Hendrickson money that he gave him to go get a quarterback.
Yeah, well, there's a quarterback in that same state that's still sitting at number 3 that they could use. Just throwing it out there.
I was going to Atlanta for Kirk Cousins, but
That that would be a better choice. Yeah, in as much as I like Shador, that would be a better choice. Except for you can't afford him.
right, especially without that $14 million, and he may have got him to renegotiate his contract to get out of Atlanta so he can play some football, but it's still a long shot. I don't know if I'd give up any money. I, he's had enough time to know that he was going to the bench, so just take your money and leave the NFL with all your limbs and your health.
Yeah,
And $500 million of stealing money from all teams.
you like that? You like that?
Yeah, he does. He does.
That's your claim to fame. All right, buddy. But I mean, I guess if you look at it, he's had a good career, right? We're talking about Kirk Cousins. Hey, if you look at it, he's not a Hall of Famer. Was never going to be a Hall of Famer. Made a ton of money. Made a boatload of money.
Yeah. When you think of a 4th-round pick, I think he was, or a 5th-round pick out of Washington, and you can say your career earnings are going to top over $300 to $400 million in your career. Yeah, that's a nice career.
Life is
for making money. A very good regular season quarterback, just in crunch time and playoffs and things, just below average type quarterback.
So, I guess the other question is, where do we go? Do we go left? Going left means we're going to talk about the Packers Cowboys. Do we go right? Going right means we're going to talk about the Chiefs and the Ravens. Really, I was hoping that Craig would be on, so that maybe we go left. And let's talk about, and we're just going to wait for Craig because Craig, you're amongst friends and you're amongst family, right? And we also do offer the 5 stages of grief counseling. I have now become an ordained expert in the stages of grief, so I can very easily walk you through each and every step.
And if you don't want to go through the 5 stages of grief and you just want to go the straight anger for anger management, I can help you with that one because I'm really good at the straight anger management problem. So, Dr. Vince and Dr. Stevie D, we can cover it in both ways for you. So,
they talk about spinoffs. That may be our new podcast, right? Dr. Vince, Dr. CVD present, being able to get you into the good and right headspace that you need to be in. CVD, let's talk about this Cowboys. I'm going to call it the Cowboys Parsons matchup because that's really what it was hyped up to be. How lucky could anybody be to have the trade of Micah Parsons go to a team that you are playing, and not only are you playing them, it has already been scheduled for Sunday night. There was no flexing. There was no adjustment. This was already set in stone. So we had a primetime matchup that was already put in front of us, and the cherry on top was that they made the trade. And now here we go. No pun intended with Dak. Here we go, right? Here we go. And what do we get?
We got a boring football game.
We did. We did. I really was waiting for Parsons to show up. But I should have known that Jerry was not going to have that. Right? There were mandates from the Jones family, that clan over there. They were calling down, they were on the field, they were in the locker rooms, they were in the coach's office. They were like, do not let number 1 change this game. Don't let him touch Dak. And actually, they had a good game plan. They really did.
Wonder how much they changed up in their play calls to fool Micah, thinking that, hey, when you go in, this is what he likes to do, and this is what they want to do, right, as part of their game plan. And Dallas totally changed and flipped the script on that. And maybe Mike is saying, well, wait a minute, I'm not familiar with that, right? I don't know.
You mean how the Raiders changed up when they played the Bucks in the Super Bowl?
Yes, exactly.
That change up?
Yeah,
Yeah, is
the
that the
change
one?
that never happened.
Yeah, it I would hope so, and I imagine so. I honestly, they did a really good job, right? There were a lot of double teams, a lot of chipping. There was actually a triple team by way of, right, because the right guard kind of turned his back, and Dak just kind of stepped up, and he kind of became a wall. Parsons had a hard time, and they gave Parsons a sack, which, first of all, you're in enemy territory. How did that happen? Right? Because Dak actually got to the line of scrimmage. The ball may have been slightly passed. Dak even talked about it in the post game. He was like, wait, Parsons got a sack? And he was shocked
Right. Yeah.
at the scoring of that. So I'm like, okay, good game. The focus really, I wanted to see the Cowboys versus the Packers D. And what we ended up seeing was maybe the evolution of the Cowboys without CD Lamb, right? And to realize that you don't always have to go to 88. You don't always have to. George Pickens had a little bit of a coming of age, at least with the Cowboys. But at the end of the day, Stevie D, I was so disappointed with the Green Bay Packers and the coaching of the Green Bay Packers leading to overtime and in overtime. I really was. And I think more in overtime than anything else. And this has been debated. It's been talked about from, just whether obviously in Green Bay, national talk shows, some of the analysts. When you think about what transpired, it was Stadium and Gale is on. Oh, look at them. Hey, Stadium and Gale. Little known secret. The guys from Stadium and Gale actually put us down on the platform that we're on. So thank you guys. Tip of the cap. We appreciate that. But yeah, all the talking heads were kind of just reviewing how everything transpired in that last series. I mean, think about it. You have a chance to win. You need to win. You're in a division that the Lions are starting to come of age, right? After all the changes they had in the offseason. And I'm not going to give anything to Chicago. Minnesota, we don't know. But you're in a dogfight. It's not a given that you're going to run away with that NFC North. And you're a better team than the Cowboys. At least on paper, you're a better team. You were coaching as if it was week 17 and you needed a win or a tie to go to the playoffs. That's how you coached. You were so afraid of a kicker on the other side that you didn't want to put the ball back in the hands of the Cowboys. You were playing for that last drive. And then it got away from you. Stevie D, you start out with just a simple run play up the middle. What are we thinking? What are we doing? Right? Let's get down the field. We're talking about a Cowboys defense that gives it up to everybody. It's not like Micah Parsons is on the other side of the field. And you're afraid to go and attack them? And then eventually, once you start getting in rhythm to get down the field, you start hitting 15, 20-yard passes. But Stevie D, we get to the end of the game, and you just watch and allow your quarterback to allow all that time to run off the clock?
That was crazy. Now, I have to admit, I did not watch, I was coming back from Richards, college, from watching some baseball, and I was beaten. I went to sleep, so I didn't see. You know what, Craig? You're banned. Okay? You're banned. Okay? You're banned.
Craig, we were waiting for you.
No, now we can go on, and we're gonna somehow. I have to be able to disable him from seeing. What's up, JT? Disable. That's an Orioles fan just hating because his team's in last place. But so I didn't really see the game because I was bad. So I saw the highlight of that, and obviously when I was watching the highlight, I kind of knew what was going to happen. just to watch, what was it, 11 seconds tick off, 13 seconds tick off.
Yeah,
It's like, did he think there was a minute and 13 left and not 13 seconds left? It was very strange.
it was bizarre. And there was so much divine intervention in that single play. Just think about this DVD. You're standing back there and you throw the ball. If that ball gets tipped, if that ball is bobbled, maybe, right? If anything happens where an extra second it goes off that clock, game's over, and you lose having a chance to get your tie or not even taking the shot to get the victory. That's how you lose? Oh, that's poor.
Right,
That is
and when I'm
poor.
watching, I was actually hoping, because I didn't know the outcome at that point when I was watching the highlight. I was really hoping at that point in time that time ran out to really on the Packers, because it's also not the quarterback. Didn't they have a timeout in their pocket?
They did.
Right. So you didn't take a timeout. The coaching's just letting it happen. So it's poor coaching and bad quarterback time management on the field. They deserve to lose that game because of that.
If I am a Packer fan right now, I am saying, Matt LaFleur, thank you for your service. It is time for you to go. There is a coaching carousel. I mean, we're starting with Mike McDaniel, right? He's got to go. Add LaFleur to it. Maybe there's a thing that's going on. You know, anybody whose name starts with them, you're gone, right? You're gone. McDermott is in there. I was trying to figure out
I was like, what's taking him so long to say Sean McDermott?
I was trying to get the correlation in there. He could come to the Dolphins. Yeah, because you're going to have a coach that's going to be expired soon. All right. One last thing in this game that really bothered me, Stevie D. Now, we talked about this a little bit beforehand, in that you saw video highlights of the game from NFL Network.
Yeah.
Let me explain from the NBC broadcast. Everybody is turning to watch this game because of Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones. They started off the game by showing the suite that Micah Parsons had basically bought for the year, and his mom is in there, decked out in all Green Bay gear, right? All the green and yellow. Oh, yeah. I mean, the whole suite. I think there was one person that was wearing a blue and white 11 jersey, right? Everybody else had Green Bay gear, all up in this suite. Then they pan over and you see Jerry and Steven and the rest of the Jones family in there. We all know what it's about. The game ends. Well, when the game ends, that's when everything's done. You shake hands, you show love, right? Those were your brothers for 4 years, right? You want to show them love. The camera goes, and you can barely see it, but you can tell it's Parsons from kind of the top of the headshot going up to Dak, right? They embrace, and the camera cuts from that. You don't see anything. You see other players. Travion Diggs down there. Who cares? Javonte Williams over there. Who cares? Romeo Doubs. Who cares? I'm not tuning in to stay in to watch a broadcast of guys shaking hands to see Romeo Doubs. I'm not. They never went back to Parsons. And you know Parsons was there on the field to dap it up with Dak, maybe go to CD who was in street clothes, maybe go to whoever. Those were his boys. That's his crew.
Right.
And that's TV theater. And NBC opted to show you other people backup offensive linemen, they were focused on these guys who you have no idea who they are. What are you doing? I
saw the embrace on the NFL Network.
Right. You have to go outside of the main broadcast to really see something. And you're right, Craig. Truly, Stevie D, Parsons saved that game for the Packers to be a tie. Because Dak was definitely going to make it in. Even though it wasn't a sack, you are absolutely right about that, Craig. Anyways, 40-40. Or what is it, 43-43? Or 40-40, whatever.
40-40.
Yeah. So we end up with a tie.
But,
And then anticlimactic. Ah.
now before I fell asleep, I did see before halftime, and I was really perplexed by the Green Bay Packers in their play selection that ultimately turned out to be a fumble, and then the Cowboys turned it into a touchdown right before halftime with like no time left on the clock. The Packers were not that I have a problem with you trying to get points right before halftime, but when it was clear and obvious, and you just don't have enough time anymore, and you're trying to do a pass play on third down, and you want to like a strip sack fumble, and you want the Cowboys getting the football with like 11 seconds left, and then they scored the touchdown right before halftime. I was just saying to myself, like, I don't know, you're on the road, time and place. What are you doing? You dominated really the first half. Why would you give any momentum there on third down? Why wouldn't you just do a draw? They're not going to call a timeout. They're going to go into halftime. Maybe they do call a timeout to do a punt return, but at the end of the day, you would have gotten out of there and you wound up fumbling. I guess that's the risk versus reward piece of it, and it backfired. But I was really saying, what are you doing? And then all of a sudden, like third down came and he fumbled the football. I was just like, oh yeah. Now, like I told you when we had this conversation, I guess I wear it from a Jets perspective, and where we're not offensively gifted in that fashion to try and get down the field in 25, 30 seconds. Green Bay's got, a quarterback and some weapons, and so maybe Green Bay looked at, yeah, we can do that on the Dallas defense. So I just thought it was funny that it backfired and cost them a touchdown before halftime.
All right, Craig. We were waiting for you. We were waiting for you. This was a clash of the heavyweights, Stevie D,
Yeah,
for maybe 5 or 6 years ago. 7 years ago. That's what this was. We had two 1-2 teams coming in, and one was going to leave 1-3 with their hopes dashed of a playoff run.
It's funny. The Ravens are in last place, just like the Orioles finished.
Ooh.
Now, you started, Craig.
Ooh.
You started. Okay. Yes, you don't have the tiebreaker against the Cleveland Browns, do you? Maybe they're not in last place. Maybe they're tied for last, but they have a tiebreaker. Maybe I'm off on that. But they're 1-3. Yeah, okay. All right, Craig. All right, good. Good. I'm glad you can. All right. Just remember who fired the first shot.
Sounds like Mike Gundy over there. I'm a man.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I don't know where to start on this one. I really don't. I guess if is Xavier Worthy that much of a weapon? If so, shame on you, Brandon Bean. Is Xavier Worthy that much of a weapon to kind of change the fate of the Kansas City Chiefs? Is there really something wrong in Baltimore? Is there something wrong with Henry in the fumbling? I mean, is it really now starting to get in his head where he's starting to get the yips? And we all know that once you become labeled as a fumbler, everybody's coming after you. Everybody, right? Even the 180-pound safety's like, oh, I got a shot, right? Normally they were like, I don't want to be a meme. Now they're like, I got a shot. Has Lamar been exposed, Stevie D, as not being a true leader? When things are good, you can. I mean, you can disguise and you can kind of present yourself as being this type of leader, right? That's when things are good. When things go bad, where are you to try to steady the ship? Where are you to kind of raise the morale of your team to try to get back on track? I don't need to see you sulking on the bench, right? Don't need to see that. Do I need to see you take yourself out of the game? Now, it has been confirmed with the hamstring that he may be out 3 weeks. up to 3 weeks, I should say, up to 3. So we'll see. I just would expect more. I would expect more out of a 2-time MVP, Craig. That's what I would expect. Not a paper champion. I would expect more.
Now, Craig, this is where I would have come to your defense, but since you know, opened up the bag with the Orioles, that about the Yankees losing, now you're getting no support today. Oh, sure. Now you agree with him, so now you make it look like not coming to your defense, like you don't need it. All right, I see what you did here.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that came out of this, and Rob and Craig, yeah, to Worthy is definitely a playmaker, right? He showed it at the combine what he could bring to the table. Brandon Beane said, "No, thank you. I will give you to my enemy." Not a problem, Brandon. Just go ahead and give him.
I think it's a couple of things, right? It's them facing 1-3, and they're champions, right? They maybe they snapped out of their funk and saying, we're in this fog and we need to get back to playing Chiefs football. I think Worthy is a big help getting him back, and obviously they got Rice coming back. I think in week 7, and their offense is going to be more whole again. So I wouldn't discount a heart of a champion, where you have certain people in that locker room that are going to step up and say, this is not our brand of football that we've been playing. So we need everybody to step up their game. So I think you do have some of that leadership in the clubhouse that goes. And it did help that they were at home as well. So that, playing in front of your fan base and the rowdiness of Arrowhead, I'm sure, helped that cause. But they took it to the Ravens. I mean, there's no way around that one. When did Lamar get hurt? Was it third quarter?
I thought that was in the fourth quarter.
Okay, so the game was well at hand at that point by the time he got hurt. So, okay. It's
not a good look, though. It is not a good look. It's not a good look on so many levels. The injury, how he walks off. We've seen guys with hamstrings, and let me be fair to Lamar, right? As I have always said, I'm not a fan of Lamar only because it started at Louisville. That's why I'm not a fan. It has nothing to do with Baltimore or anything like that, right? It started at Louisville. Boo, because I'm a Seminole fan. All right, ACC. That's why I'm not. And then I look at Lamar as a Michael Vick wannabe. Michael Vick will always be here. Yeah, I think Lamar has done more in being fair. But Michael Vick was the man, right? we would sit back and just think about it. If you are a certain age, just think about it. If you are a certain age, think about what we used to see on SportsCenter. Because remember, we didn't have the luxury of Stevie D's man cave to have 10 televisions on the ceiling, on the floor, on every wall, right? To be able to capture everything live. We didn't have that back in the day. So we had to settle for either it was the game of the week or maybe a Monday Night Football, or you had to rely on SportsCenter. And for our younger viewers, the thing that they have out there called the internet and TikTok and Instagram, that didn't exist. All right, so there was none of that. You want to talk about the struggles? These were the struggles back then, right? So.
You're not kidding. Just for a brief second, I would get mad when family would be over, the aunts, the uncles, the grandparents, the cousins, and it's Sunday because we'd all gather for the football games, and it was like prime time was coming on, and I just wanted to be in front of the TV to watch Berman and Tom Jackson break down the game so I could see all the highlights because that was my chance to see because the next day I had to go to school. So I wanted to see the highlights. No. Cake and coffee. You got to be that. No. I got to be upstairs in front of the.
Oh yeah. And Craig, I'm not saying that with when I talk about Vic. Vic was my guy. I like to watch Vic. Right, he brought something to the table. He was an ACC guy too, but he got a pass. He just got a pass because he was so dynamic. Right, and now you're coming in to try to replace this guy. It's like. No, you can't. But that's how we had to watch it. We had to wait for Sports Center, and we had to wait for Chris Berman to show us and Tom Jackson to show us, right, what Michael Vick did. And now we have Lamar, and Lamar does so much more. I will absolutely give it to you. He's a better passer than what Vic was. Vic, I think, became a better passer, especially when he went to Atlanta under Reed. He became a better passer, but that wasn't his game. And just, to watch him just run around, and we see the same thing out of Lamar. I never thought Lamar would make it this far. That actually kind of rhymes. Uh-oh. Let me write that down. New intro to OW Sports. Never thought Lamar could make it this far. Oh, I got bars. Oh, I got bars, Stevie D. Just so
that actually does sound pretty good. That really does sound good.
But what really is apparent now, and we've seen it time and time again, when things are good, he's good. When things are bad, he is at the bottom. Facial expressions, demeanor, that's when you have got to be your best. You have got to rise up. The team has to look at you, and they can't see the dejection, the give up, the frustration. They can't see that. They have got to see the optimism. They have got to see the hope. They're looking at you. You got 52 other guys looking at you. And all they see is just somebody that's, moping around down in the dumps. Part of that's on Harbaugh. Harbaugh should have grabbed this guy a long time ago, grabbed him, brought him into the office and said, enough, this stops here. Now, am I upset that he hasn't? No, you keep doing you, John. You keep doing you, right? Because I like it. Because the team that I had from the AFC North, that team is no longer in the driver's seat. And who would have thunk that the Pittsburgh Steelers would be running away with the AFC North? With the Cleveland Browns right behind him.
And then the Cincinnati Bengals. And then the Baltimore Ravens.
What in the world is going on in the AFC North? Rob is over there throwing darts over at Craig. Just saying that Lamar is a paper champion, median darling that comes up short in big games.
Rob has been waiting for this for weeks. I think he's been hanging up stuff. He's been chatting up Craig, right, and getting them all kind of not thinking. And then now Rob is throwing his haymakers. I mean, he's going for the knockout tonight on Craig's Ravens.
He is. He saw his opportunity. He waited. He did. Rob, just a slight correction. It's not TB12. It's PED. Papa Echo Delta 12. We need to be clear, right? He wanted to coin TB, but when your boy gets popped for doing PEDs from your trainer, and you're 45 and still playing in a young man's game, something's going on. Maybe you're talking to Doug Flutie and Frank Thomas. Maybe you're out there with that Nugenix. Hey. And he looked back.
He covers up the labels for Nugenix and puts TB12 method on there.
Exactly. And, Giselle was standing over there, and by the time he turned around, right, the Tai Chi instructor said, "Oh, I take this too, and you'll like it as well." Right? Maybe something like that happened, right? You never know. All right, Stevie D. Craig, as a person, as a fan of the show, I feel for you. As a Ravens fan, I'm loving it, right? Like McDonald's, I'm loving it. Stevie D, we talked about this team. As far as what are they thinking, right? Great question. What are you thinking? Cleveland Browns signing Joe Flacco, What are you thinking? Well, you got off to the start that we all expected, right? You have a good defense, so it's going to keep you in games. You have a geriatric guy at quarterback who really has not expressed the desire to play competitive football in probably 5 or 6 years. So you want to talk about stealing money? There is your number one suspect for stealing money. But more power to you if you can get away with it, which you have. But let's understand what you did. You don't have a Super Bowl roster. You just don't. Offensively, your defense is legit that can carry you, but offensively, you don't have it. Did you win?
4-3 going into it's 4-3 right now. Bottom of the eighth. Here we go, baby. Here we go. Maybe we can sneak one more out there. So we got the lead going into the ninth.
So
Chad Chisholm scoring from first base on that.
So you don't have and Rob is curious on the input of this one, but you don't have a Super Bowl roster. That's your fault if you thought that the defense was legit to take you places. You didn't come back with a legitimate quarterback solution. Then you go and you get Kenny Pickett, and then you decide, well, we better keep going. If you really thought that highly of Kenny Pickett, you wouldn't have kept going. And so then you go and you bring Flacco out of retirement or from his couch. And then here we go. Then you draft Dylan Gabriel. Okay. We've already talked about that. And then you draft Shador. So you have turned what was already an issue into a media circus. A media circus because Kenny Pickett is not that good. So why in the world are you kind of pushing your chips in saying, oh, I like this guy, I can coach him? No, he's not that good. He was never that good. He is known for being the fake slide guy. That's who Kenny Pickett is. He's not known for throwing, 50 touchdowns or a QBR of 136 or whatever. He's not that guy. Flacco, what is he known for? Well, yeah, many moons ago, again, when I go back to Berman and TJ on Sports Center, yeah, that's when he was at his best. Since then, yeah, he had a run to the playoffs. I'll give you that. But he's not your future.
I truly don't know, other than he knew the system. I don't understand the allure of bringing Joe Flacco at 40, 41 years of age. It's just we've talked about this, right? Like if you're bringing Flacco back as a guy that you're going to run him until you feel the guys that you drafted were ready to step up and take the reins, whether that's week 6, week 8, week 11. And that's what I want. That's what we're going to do. I guess I can go with that, knowing that you're just going to wait until your young guys are showing that they're ready to step up to take the reins, like some teams do, right? No problem with that. I don't know if these kids are ready to go personally right now. And so now you're making that swap. And this is the curious part. You make the swap to promote Gabriel. Again, Gabriel Sanders, I'm not there in the locker room. I'm not there at the practice. I couldn't tell you who should be 1, who should be 2. Not for me to say. But if you're going to pull that trigger and say, Flacco, you're out. Dylan, we're going to promote you to QB1. Flacco, you're going to be 2. Why wouldn't you just make Sanders 2 and move Flacco to 3? You already lost Joe Flacco now because he's not happy that he's now a bench player. So you might as well move him to 3 and just literally turn it over to the young players and let them run with it. So I just their whole thinking there, I don't understand the Browns from that perspective.
I agree, and now you find yourself in a little bit of a situation, and then you go with Dylan Gabriel. Now, again, I'm not here to rehash, but in my opinion, I'll just leave it at that, Stevie D. In my opinion, I would much rather have Shador over Dylan Gabriel. My opinion. I think that he showed improved enough in college, and not only in college, in the pros, as far as we talk about leadership, at least from what we have seen, what we have been privy to. Obviously, by sometimes biased reporting, and that's fair. But we have seen enough, and we've seen the interactions between his veteran teammates, David Njoku, Myles Garrett. We've seen these guys interact with Shador. They interact with him, a rookie, on the level of a veteran.
Yeah, the part that I thought was really great by Shador was when the kicker missed the extra point of the field goal, and he went over to him, put his hand on his shoulder, and talked to him, where the cameras really couldn't pick up what Shador was saying, whether that was by design or not, but pick up his teammate when he was feeling really low. When everybody else didn't go, he went over and talked to him. And when you talk about the leadership characteristics of a player, you're looking for that for a leader to lead my team on the field. And I don't know if Shador really got enough credit for that. Right? Everybody wants to attack him for this or that, whether it's the speed tickets or whatever. Like this whole thing now, you saw what they did to him today. Now about when he found out Flacco was it, like the media is really trying to make something. He's like, "What are you talking about? That wasn't even that." Like, so that's the problem for Shador that he's battling. It's not only that he's battling like these fake news stories that are coming out about him, and it's unfair to him. But in that moment, I said that is a leader. That's somebody that I would want to lead my team.
Sure.
Right? Because there's always going to be mistakes, a missed field goal, a fumble, whatever. And for him to have the presence of mind, who's
Craig, no, we're not talking about the Ravens. We were talking about the Browns here. With Stevie D, you were talking about a missed field goal. You were talking about a fumble. Hey, I thought.
I see. You were talking. You thought I was talking about the Ravens.
Yes.
Derrick Henry and things like that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. So just to clarify, I was not talking about the Ravens, though I could be easily mistaken.
Yes.
The Ravens, but I'm talking about the Browns. But I mean, I like what Shador Sanders showed me on that as some. Now, again, I can't talk to you about the play on the field, but if I'm going to have a leader, that's who I want leading my guys, my troops on the field, because that's somebody who grips a team and can rally around that quarterback. So, but again, the Browns are the Browns. So, but Flacco's done. I just don't know how you can put him as number two. If I'm them, I'm like, why don't you just release me so I can go sign with the Bengals?
I think you have to. I think you have.
I mean, that's probably why they maybe won't cut him. But
didn't think about that. Yes. Maybe the Bengals are waiting. They're chomping at the bit. They're like, "Oh, please, just release him, Joe. We're here. I can't tamper, but we're here."
Who's tampering? All you have to do is reach out to an agent or one of you guys. I'll tell you, man. Only if Joe Flacco would just raise hell in Cleveland and get himself released. I mean, wouldn't that be something? And then that person goes over and talks to Joe Flacco's agent. Dude, you should bring holy hell and just get cut. I got a spot for you. Just raise holy hell and force them to cut you.
We'll take care of your conduct detrimental to the team. Now, Mike Brown isn't going to do that. What? I'm not paying for that. He did that over in Cleveland. You deal with that.
And you get the guy in Cincinnati saying, I had the quarterback, but my owner had to mess it up.
Well, it will definitely be interesting to see how this plays out and to see exactly, who. It's almost like you're on the island now, right? And so Flacco's flame has gone out. Gabriel and Shador, their flames are still there, and we will see what happens with Dylan Gabriel. To Craig's point, I want their evaluation and decision process to play itself out. Yeah, we're going to see it live, and trust me, Craig, like I know, if Dylan Gabriel does not succeed, there's going to be 1,000,001 excuses as to why he didn't succeed. Well, he's not used to playing in the cold weather yet. The ball, it's a little different than the college game. It has a little bit more air in it. We have to address the offensive line. We have to address the running back. We have to address this. They'll have all the excuses in the world, right? Whereas if it was reversed, well, Shador's just got to get more acclimated to the pro game. His game is still trying to transfer from the college game to the pro game. You'll hear that. They can't be wrong. They cannot be wrong. Shador, and their biggest fear, and we know this, Stevie D, we know it, Craig, we know everybody's watching. Their biggest fear is Shador to go out there, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. That is their biggest fear. That's the biggest fear of 31 other GMs that are out there. Well, we can exclude some of them, but that's the fear of most GMs, because if Shador lights it up, fan bases are going to go absolutely berserk as to how you let a guy go to the 5th round when we have Russell Wilson. Well, now you got Jackson Dart, but you know what I'm saying. When we have Russ, I just like to throw Russ in there like we do Hugh Jackson. It's those types of things, right? I'll always have to get a good old Hugh Jackson reference in there. So, all right, a lot of other things happen. The only other thing that I do want to touch on, Stevie D, I am not a fan who roots for injuries or roots for players who get hurt. I don't do that. I want all of these guys to be healthy and play at their top peak level, because I want to see what my 11 can do against your 11. And I want it to become a game in between the ears than a game between my 1s versus your 2s. It's just how I am, right? And if we're not good enough to beat your 2s, then I have to look internally and say we have to get better. Tyreek Hill went down, and that is as ugly as it can be.
Brutal.
It is ugly. Not you, obviously, neither you nor I are Dolphin fans. Don't, but when Tua got concussed, I'm more mad at Tua for the concussions, for Tua not taking heed to his own personal safety. That's why you're mad at Tua. I'm not mad at Tyreek, but I feel bad for Tyreek. I really do. From just his play on the field.
Right.
As a football fan, a Dolphin hater, but a football fan, I love to watch Tyreek out there, because he will make you, just like Michael Vick, he will make you look silly sometimes. You think you have
it's incredible.
You think you have the perfect angle, and next thing you know, he's gone.
It's like he toys with some defensive players. Like, I don't need to turn it on right now. All right, you get a little closer. All right, I'm going to go into next gear and go on. Hey, he is something to watch on the football field. There's no doubt about it. He is something to watch on the football field. And that was gruesome. And the way they were showing it, it's like, to Rob's point, did they need to show it again? You saw it, and it's like when they carted him off, they felt like they had to show the play again. I don't know why they felt the need to have to show that again. But
we do know that
positivity is crazy. Like, most people got the towel over their head, and maybe he's looking at it, well, I'm getting $38 million now for the rest of the year. I don't know if he's thinking that way. I don't know. But his positivity coming off the field was incredible, with the smiles and waving, and I'm good. And
that's the last time I'm playing with Tua.
yeah.
Oh, thank goodness.
His guarantees run out. So
think about this, guys. Think about this. The last time that ESPN or their family of networks was criticized for showing a gruesome injury was Joe Theismann. Same thing, right? That was on Monday Night Football, ABC. Did they go too far?
Well, I mean, it was just a dislocation. So I mean, it's not like it was.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no, Rob. I don't think that they went too far. I do think that just like, well, let me explain it like this. They like to have a rules analyst that is, oh, and we got to talk about this. They like to have a rules analyst that is, in the microphone, in your ear. Why don't they have a medical analyst? Go bring in my guy, James Andrews, right? He is the second coming when it comes to football injuries, right? When anybody had an ACL, MCL, PCL, where are you going? I'm going to Alabama to see Dr. James Andrews. And they would get you all up and running and you were good. Dr. James Andrews was the man, right? I think he's retired. I think he's old. I think he's retired. Hopefully,
But they have a center after him on his with his name that's still running. So I don't know if he does any consulting work, but they actually have. Here we go. One more to go. They actually have like a center in Alabama called like the James Andrews Center or something like that, and it's still running and operating.
fully paid for by athletes of the NFL. But have that guy come on and talk about some of the injuries. I mean, we're getting injuries all the time. He could be at home, right? You put a headset on, he just calls right in, or you tap in, you call him, you say, "Hey, Dr. James, talk to us about what's going on here," right? And he can tell you from what I've seen, right? You have a dislocated kneecap, you have a MCL, potentially a PCL, what have you. We're looking at 12 to 18 months of recovery time. We're looking at somebody that's probably, right, I can't say this for everybody, but probably going to lose seconds off of their speed. So he's not going to come back as the same player. Give us that. And
Break the spirit of the fan of that team.
well, only do it when the Dolphins are playing, all right? Just do it when the Dolphins are playing. Did you get your victory?
They got the victory. I'll tell you, the Red Sox made it interesting there because he hit it to the wall to end the
But
game.
if you do something like that, you have the guys that come in and like Dean Blandino that want to talk about the rules, and they do such a horrible job. I would much rather have something like this from a medical person where you don't allow the commentators who know nothing about it to try to make their assumptions and what their opinions to it, right? Rob says it was not the same situation with Damar Hamlin, which the network did a great job in not focusing on the CPR, et cetera. That is true. But I think we're talking, to your point, not the same, right? I think when Damar's situation, if you remember early on, they were focused in at the middle of the field. And then all of a sudden, somebody said something to somebody like, "You have got to move on, right? Move." And they were off. And I do give them credit for that. Definitely.
I don't look at the hill being so gruesome where I thought they showed it over and over again. I thought, Rob, for me, I just thought once he got carted off, there was no need to show it again. Like that at that point, I'm like, the play's over. He's on the card. He's off the field. Why are you showing it again? That to me was too redundant there. But
Okay, let's leave that because I'm old and I will forget, right? And I didn't write it down. So I want to bring something up because we were just talking about the rules officials and maybe having a medical official. But I really want to go back to the rules officials. I'm not sure if anybody here actually watched the Florida State Virginia game. It was actually on a Friday night.
who won that?
That's not important. It has no bearing on what we're talking about. But in the Florida State Virginia game, what they provided us as a fan or as a viewer is next level. What happened and what do I mean? They gave you insight into the review booth. Craig said he watched it. So Craig, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They gave you insight into the booth. The referee would go to the monitor, put his headphones on. They gave us split screen. On that split screen, we saw the referee and we could hear the referee or the official speaking to the command center. In the command center, you had 3 or 4 guys with like 5 or 6 televisions, right? And they're like monitor A, and you had a video that was going on there. Monitor B, you had what was going on there. And they walked you through. They were walking themselves through, but they walked you through in a peek inside or behind the curtains. And you could see everything and you could hear everything. And they're like, okay, we're on monitor A. What do we have? Well, I have that as a catch. Okay, let's go to monitor B. What do we have on the feet? And it would zero in on the feet, Stevie D. And he'd say, well, I got the right foot out. What do you see? No, I got that right foot in. Are you sure? Let's go back a second. And so now they're actually discussing, and you can hear this, right? And so finally, they make their way all the way through the process. And then they say, okay, are you good with what we have? We have a catch, we have feet in bounds, we have possession, blah, blah, blah. First person, yes, I'm good. What about you? Yes, I'm good. And so they went all the way down the line. Okay, we're good. The official takes off the headset, comes out. We have a completed catch. It's a touchdown. It was great. Now, without that, we sit there saying, well, what I see, that's good. What's taking so long? But now we know what takes so long. We know how you got from A to Z. That is so important. And I think either the NFL, who is always reactive and never thinks, either they think we as fans don't care or they think we as fans don't understand. But it was such a great process. It brings you inside. It's more engaging. It was more 3D. I got it. And they went through the whole process and it didn't take long, right? The Robinson, yeah, he was out of bounds on that touchdown catch, which, as a Seminole fan, I'm like, oh yeah, it's a touchdown. But you knew he bobbled it. You could see where he bobbled it. And they went right through. They're like, he caught it. Nope, but he caught it out of bounds, foot out of bounds, and went through it, and they were done.
When you told me about that the other day, to me, that was the coolest thing. When you talk about next gen stuff for the fans, and I thought you hit on it very, very well. The transparency that you're now bringing to the fan when people think things are rigged. What do you mean they didn't overturn that call? What do you mean it said stand as called and it's not confirmed, or whatever the case may be? By bringing the different angles in and listening to the people talk about it, we'll settle those debates. Now, you and I talked about it. I may still disagree, but I can't really go scorched earth on it because I'm listening to what everybody's saying and I'm hearing their logic. Now, if you're a fan that is regardless is going to be jaded over something and you only see it this way, then there's no hope for you on
correct.
Something.
That's
if
correct.
If you're a fair and objective person, man, okay, I didn't see it move. They saw it move. 3 people said they saw it move. Like, okay, maybe my trained eye looks like the ball didn't move, but maybe it did, right? And so at the end of the day, I can go with it. And I wish, based off what you were talking about, they would bring that to the NFL and to clear up that it's rigged or it's scripted.
And so you stole it. You way to hit that one, because they wanted to give us this garbage spot track that they use for tennis to kind of say, is it a first down or it's still human. It's where the official places the ball, and then they take the camera lens in the eye and they say, oh no, you're off by a yard or a foot. That's his judgment. That's what they gave us. You give us this and you couple it with the gambling, all that stuff is out the window. You can't say that a game is rigged. Well, you can, because the Chiefs still play. So you can still say that a game is rigged. But there's less likelihood that other games will be rigged. So, and yes, Rob, yes, this was the Virginia Florida State game. Just saying, if you're going to adopt certain things, this is a no brainer. A no brainer. Do it, get it done, and we are much better off for it. So, all right, Stevie D, we went long on a lot of different things. So, obviously, we want to talk about our Bills. We want to talk about our Jets. I'll let you go first. And kind of lead us off.
Look, I mean, the Jets are regressing. It was an awful football game. It was ugly with penalties. And we turnovers, penalties on third down, stupid penalties, undisciplined football with the penalties. It's unfortunate. You run it down their throat in that first drive, and Braylon Sweat goes for the end zone and he fumbles the football. I mean, that's just. He's making a play. Their safety makes a great play. Mika Fitzpatrick makes a great play, and it turns out they go to a touchdown the other way. So instead of being up 7-3, you're down 10-0. Defense can't stop a nosebleed. It's just there. It's like a circus that's in town, and it's very frustrating to watch. The Jet fans are beside themselves. I've said this on many posts, whether it's on Twitter, I refuse to call it that other name, on Twitter, whether it's on Jets Hangar with fans. Everybody wants to fire Aaron Glenn. And it's like, I don't – look, there's things that Aaron Glenn needs to clean up as a coach. As a rookie coach, there's mistakes that he's made as a coach that you hope that he learns from, that doesn't make those mistakes. Because every coach at every level, whether you're a head coach, assistant, GM, and owner, everybody makes mistakes, right? You let a free agent walk out the door that you should never let out because you're equivalent over $3 million. That's what's the difference of that of a coach making a mistake on personnel on the field or calling out a timeout? You hope that you learn from that and move on. But from an Aaron Glenn perspective, my biggest takeaway with the Jets this year is that we have too many players that have played under Robert Saleh that allowed undisciplined football. And I don't think we have too many players, and I'm going to use this word, uncoachable. Okay? They're uncoachable because I don't think for 1 minute that Aaron Glenn is not trying to change a culture here. And there's players that are not adapting or listening and are making the same mistakes over and over again. The pre-snap penalties are happening from the same people. Like, I'm not saying to cut Garrett Wilson or trade Garrett Wilson, okay? But there was a legal formation snap in the third quarter that, and I want to use choice words here, and I know we're a family show here. And believe me, there's a choice word I want to say because it angers me. When he's coming down in motion,
I got my finger on the button.
he is literally moving as we're snapping the ball, going forward, just like you're talking about like a micro step. No, it's you go in motion and you get set. Okay, you did it 1,000 times in your career. What are you doing? It's that type of stuff is that the coach's fault? No, the player knows it because he's on the field since he's 5 years old probably as a wide receiver getting set. You have to get set before the quarterback can snap the ball. You're not moving forward. And I was losing my mind on something like that. You're a $35 million a year wide receiver. You say you're one of the top receivers in the league. You can't have those stupid mistakes. I need you to be a leader on the field and not have that and show the Alan Lazards, the Mason Taylors, the Josh Reynolds, the Tyler Johnsons. This is how you line up as a wide receiver. You can't commit those stupid penalties. And so it's things like that are driving me bonkers. Justin Fields taking a delay of game inside the 10-yard line. On their 5-yard line. The clock is right there. You don't see that it's coming out. You don't call a timeout. You take the 5-yard penalty. It's stupid things like that that's unacceptable for athletes, for high-paid athletes. You're leaders of your team, right? You have to set the example. And people are like, well, that's Aaron Glenn. No, that's not Aaron Glenn. Those are your leaders on your team, because I know Aaron Glenn is addressing that. And he's probably sitting there with Darren Muji saying, I got to overhaul this roster because I got guys that are not coachable. Stupid penalties are on a player. This coach is not accepting it. And he can't bench the Michael Clemenses of the world because we don't have enough depth to bench him. People will, and I can't figure out for the life of me the guy's name, number 94 in the Jets. You got to bench Michael Clemens for 94. Okay, guys. And I know you probably don't have a subscription to NFL Plus to watch the All 22 film. But if you do, watch 94 on the football field. He is clueless on the football field. He can't take the proper angle. He's biting on plays that are then turned around to be like a bootleg to the outside. He's got zero football IQ. He would be on the football field. And that's the guy you think can replace Michael Clemens. And I'm not a fan of Michael Clemens. But I can't take 94 over Michael Clemens. Can't do it. Watch the tape. It's pathetic. It's pathetic to watch 94 out there. So,
wait, are you talking about Tyler Barron? From the U?
Well, Tyler Barron is awful. Yes, from the U. Yes, I didn't know that was number 94 because he was
I caught you earlier about the officials and who won that game. So
unfortunately, but Miami is ranked number 2 in the country. So they just can't play at the pro level. That's all I'll say. And then another guy from the U, Kiko, right, the linebacker, he tries to take out Tua's head, which, when you watch it from another angle, he hits his own guy, doesn't even hit Tua, and Tua's laughing about it because he got the penalty. But it's the intent that you have to be smarter as the linebacker on that play that he's sliding and not even attempt to try and hit the player. I don't agree with the penalty, but you have to be a smarter player. And so for me, with the Jets, it's self-inflicted, stupid penalties that these guys are doing that ultimately, I know Aaron's trying to change a culture. It's going to take time. Not every rebuild of a program happens in 4 games. It doesn't happen in 4 games. And to call for somebody's job after 4 games is ludicrous and stupid, right? In all honesty, he hasn't had an even chance to even put a footprint on this roster as far as major changes, because we didn't do major changes in the offseason. We signed a couple of free agents, and Andre Sisco hasn't worked out as safety. But at the end of the day, Vince, we ran the football effectively in the first half. We really did. Penalties took you out. Penalties extended their drives. And to credit to the Dolphins, they made the Jets pay. You can't go on the road, have 12 penalties, 14 penalties, 12 accepted. Can't do that. You can't have 3 turnovers and not get 1 back. And you can't commit fatal third down penalties when you were getting off the field and all of a sudden you had a penalty that was not the reason why they didn't convert on third down. Those are the ones that are killer. And we had multiple of those. I thought Justin threw the ball well, but here's another killer. Mason Teller had a great game at tight end. You finally saw him get involved. We don't have a number 2 wide receiver, and that's a killer because these guys can't catch the ball. They just can't catch the ball. So overall, again, just a very disheartening game 4 of the year in Miami. Miami did what they needed to do: turn it over, get turnovers, cash in on those plays, and they did, and they won the game. Now the Jets scored a touchdown late. Hell of a catch by Garrett Wilson, right? Can go down. It's probably going to be a top 5 catch for the year. Got his foot down. How he got it after the bobble, just incredible awareness there. So I got to give him the credit after lighting him up for the penalty earlier. But really, at the end of the day, it's one of those garbage kind of touchdowns towards the end. So it really, the game may look close as the final score, but every Jet fan will tell you they were going, bonkers for 3.5 quarters, saying this is ridiculous that we're getting blown out, outplayed, outcoached, everything out there, and it's just horrible. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to go on another 40-minute thing on the Jets like I did last week, but this week it's that's it for the Jets. I mean, it was bad, bad. I mean, do I think they're going to win this week against the Cowboys? Not after what I saw this week. And I'm hoping the play gets flipped. You're home, you reset, and somehow something clicks this week, and you get a little lucky. Oh, and the last thing I want to take on, and I'm sorry, is Braylon Allen doing kick returns. And this is what bothers me. I understand we have a guy doing fair catches at the 2-yard line on a punt return. We got that same guy fumbling on the kickoff to start the second half. That, again, it's another dagger, right? Because you're turning it over in plus territory. But for me, this is a bad call by Aaron Glenn. It's not the first time he's done it. If you're going to give Braylon Allen as many touches as Breece Hall in a game, you can say that Braylon Allen's also your running back one because they're getting the same amount of touches per game. You can't have him doing kick returns. And I mean that before the injury happened. Right? If you want to have your running back 3 out there in Isaiah Davis, then have him for a kick return. You should not have a guy that's so big to your offensive game plan doing it.
Did the injury happen on the kickoff return?
Yeah, he took a helmet to the knee. It was bad. It didn't look good. And when I saw the replay, because live, it was all screened out. They showed from a different camera angle, and it was a shot. I mean, right there. He's out. I don't think he'll be back in 4 weeks. I think it's a 6 to 7 week injury, I think, when it's all said and done. And so now Isaiah Davis is now your running back 2, which is a big blow. But maybe Breece Hall will finally get running back 1 touches that we've all been clamoring for. And again, our pass blocking is atrocious. It's atrocious. Thank God Justin Fields is athletic, right? So there's so much there to the Jets and why you're 0-4, and you can see it. Just there's a lot to fix. There's a lot to fix, and it's not. Aaron Glenn, let him work it, right? Because at the end of the year, the players that don't get it will be cut or traded, and let him form the roster. Jets are a bad football team. There's a reason why they haven't been in the playoffs in 15 years. They're a bad football team, and they have dead wood that they have to get rid of. And as Jet fans, we're impatient, just like any team that's gone a long playoff drought. You don't have patience. But unfortunately, you got to get it because you got to give Aaron Glenn an opportunity to put the stamp on his team with his players and how he wants to do it. So,
trust the process.
I know it's a rough term to use, right? But in this case, you have to, and I don't know if I want to say call it trust the process because I don't know if we really truly have a process. But you have to give the coach a little leeway to change a culture of undisciplined football, really since Adam Gase was there, right? So and not everybody's been there since Adam Gase, but it's been the pattern of a franchise for 6-7 years of undisciplined football. And you got somebody that's coming in as a more of an iron fist in certain ways. It's going to take time to flush it out. You can't. Aaron Glenn is not Bill Parcells. He's not Sean Payton. He's not Sean McDermott, who's now been a coach for X amount of years in the league, or John Harbaugh, who's been a coach in the league that's got some clout. Aaron Glenn's got to start and build that trust factor with players. He doesn't come in with that clout right now. And so you mix bad culture, man. It takes time to change it. And I'm willing to be patient with it. And I'm hoping Jet fans will ease up on Aaron Glenn and give him more time to change a culture that has been very poor. So.
All right. let's segue over. So I'm still not over. You would have thought, Stevie D, that the Bills lost to the Saints. The way that I have been moping around for the last few days. I've listened to different people who have been out there speaking, and they feel as though everybody should drink the Kool-Aid. Well, I drink the Kool-Aid. I have the red, white, and blue flowing through my veins. But I'm also trying to be as objective as possible when I look at this team. And something is staring me square in the face, Stevie D. It's the 1-3 Baltimore Ravens. It's the 0-4 Jets. It's the 1-3 Miami Dolphins. It's the 0-4 New Orleans Saints. Those are the teams that we've played. We have not played a complete game offensively, defensively, and special teams in any of those games. We were lucky to get past the Ravens. We were lucky for a Derrick Henry fumble. Now, some may say, well, you caused the fumble. Yes, you did, right? You were able to poke it out. But the other part of that is the lack of security of the ball by Derrick Henry. Guys try to poke the ball out all the time. So you're still lucky. You're lucky that this oblong ball didn't bounce crazy. Timeout. Did you see the video? I think it was college, University of Louisiana Monroe or something like that. They were down at like the 10, and the guy fumbled the ball, and the ball went from the 10 almost to the other 5 because they were trying to kick it, or they were trying to pick it up, and they kept kicking it. I'll have to send it to you. But it's where I was going is it's an oblong ball. It takes some bounces. You got to be lucky for those bounces to go your way. We're lucky that we started the season where we're playing a team in transition with the Jets. We're lucky that we're playing a team in the Dolphins who can't get out of their own way. They are a dumpster fire. We're lucky that we're playing the Saints, a team that's just as bad as the Dolphins, that absolutely got throttled by the Seahawks the week before. But we look at all of that, and you say, well, hey, we're 4-0. But are we really a legit 4-0 team? Sure, on paper we are. And I'm happy that we're 4-0. But I also see holes. I see issues. You look at the Saints game. Maybe the Saints game was a byproduct of playing the Jets and the Dolphins back-to-back and being at home. I hate to talk about trap games. I hate it. Maybe you are overlooking the Saints because you have the Patriots coming up this week. But you stress and you preach, we're taking this one game at a time. Well, if you're taking it one game at a time, then there is no such thing as a trap game. I try to explain this to people. It's your mindset. A trap game means I'm looking past the opponent for something else. That means that I'm not taking it 1 week at a time. There's a problem. You can say injuries. Sure. I'll say Ed Oliver not being there. I'll say Matt Milano not being there. That's a problem. Max Hairston being out. That's a problem. Spencer Brown not being there. That's a problem. But you also have told us that you have depth. We're starting to see where Trey is not the same Trey that we saw 4 or 5 years ago because of injuries, because of age. His game is completely different. If we expect Trey to be up playing bump and run, not going to happen. He's got to give a cushion. He could still make plays. That's great. But he's not your CB1. So it's not like you have 2 ones out there with him and Benford. Dorian Williams, there's a lot to work on there. That young man is not ready to fill in the shoes of Milano or Bernard. Not ready. You can go big package, little package. You bring him in there, the man can't tackle. There's a problem. Stevie D talked about fundamentals from when you're a youth. I'm not expecting you to make every single tackle, but I am not expecting you to miss every single tackle. There's a problem. There's a problem. Now, the shining star has been kind of the defensive line in what we're seeing from the young guys on the defensive line. That's good. But you're still being run on like it's ridiculous. I expected Alvin Kamara to be the one doing it, but I guess I was thinking of Alvin Kamara from 4 years ago. He had a modest game. But it doesn't matter who we play. Running backs are running all over us. That's not a championship team. Far from it. If we expect to get into the next season where the competition week after week is going to be nothing but A-level competition, we have a long ways to go. And again, I'm happy. I may not come across right now of being happy, but I'm also concerned. I'm concerned that we are playing with blinders on, that we just see the victory and we're like, oh, any team can beat any other team on any given Sunday. Okay, yes, yeah. But there are certain teams that you should beat and beat handily. And just because you won by 12 points or you won by 11 points, that's what the final tally shows. But you won on that because of what happened in the last 5 minutes of the game, not what happened in the first 55 minutes of the game. We say you. What's that?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry, I took you.
We say you play 60. The mentality of playing 60, you only have to play 30 or 40 or 50. But you're going in with the mentality of the game is already won, forcing you to have to play 60. That goes back to coaching. A coach that wants to be revered for the fact that, yes, you are second all-time in wins. I think you have 90 wins now as a Buffalo Bills head coach. Second only to Marv Levy. Hey, kudos, congratulations. But you have got to get this team in the right mentality, the right mindset. We've got to get the right players. I'm going to tell you right now, 57, he's going to go down just like Hugh and everybody else. Because we're going to have to bring him up every time. Yes, you had a stat game. Call it a stat game. You found your way, luckiest person in the world, you found your way into a sack. Yeah, two things here, though. You found your way into a sack, and then half sack. Then you wanted to take credit for something that Bosa did, and then you wanted to walk away with your arm up in the air celebrating while the play's still going on. Again, when Stevie D was talking about his team and talking about accountability, this is where I come into accountability. Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane. Accountability. Actionable accountability. You have a guy out there more concerned about the headlines and about his stats than you are the overall outcome. We started off talking about this oblong ball that could go wherever. It doesn't just roll straight. The play wasn't over. What if, and we were lucky against Stevie D, we were lucky, but what if, we've seen it, you go to jump on it and it squirts out? What if it squirts out, bounces off somebody, and next thing you know, there's a speed guy, a running back, a wide receiver right there to pick up the ball and take off running? Meanwhile, you're facing the other direction with your hand up in the air like you did something. You didn't even cause the fumble. And help me out here, Stevie D. If the quarterback doesn't have the ball and you tackle the quarterback, is that a sack?
No.
No, it's not a sack. So what are you celebrating? Tackling a defenseless player? That's what you're celebrating? It's just like the Chicago game last year. Remember the Hail Mary and the guy was celebrating that they
Oh my God! Yeah.
It's the same thing. You're celebrating and the play's not over. But I'll see you number 57 in his celebration, and I'm going to raise you Elijah Moore. Now, we talked about Elijah Moore. This is your chance. You're on a different team, a different organization, a different culture. You've had missteps, missed opportunities, things have happened. This was actually a game, and I'll be honest with you, Stevie D, this was a game that was more of a preseason game than what we saw of any of the preseason. Because you started to see other players who hadn't gotten a lot of playing time all of a sudden find themselves either in the starting lineup or getting reps out on the field. That's what this was. Let's be fair. That's how they treated this. That means it was a trap game because you looked past them and said, we're going to use this to have our B players get some playing time. Just putting that out there. But back to Elijah Moore. You are standing 2 to 3 yards from the goal line as you are watching, transfixed on your player trying to break tackles to get into said end zone. Most players would say, I got to do whatever I can do to help you get in. If I can block, if I can push the guy off of you, maybe that springs you. If I can get in this guy's way, he won't touch you. Nope, not Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore is basically a traffic cop, standing back, directing traffic. You want to go this way. Don't you think he knows where he wants to go? You're pointing towards the end zone instead of trying to help him get in the end zone. I know you don't weigh 250, 280, or 300 like the linemen who are pushing, the running back or pushing the receiver or the quarterback. I know you're not that, but maybe you could help. Maybe you could help. Now, Stevie D, if I were Sean McDermott, if I were Brandon Beane, those two players I would make an example of. It probably would be a lot harder with 57 based on contracts and exactly. But I would definitely want to make an example to show the players on the team this is not how we do things. I would have probably a longer leash on Elijah Moore because this is your first year with the team. Less of a leash on 57 because you've been here. We drafted you. You know from mini camp to training camp to all the regular season games and the playoff games what it takes, what our mindset should be. There's no excuse for that.
Yeah, the thing with Elijah Moore, it didn't end well with the Jets. He had conflicts with the offensive coordinator, F-bombs. He had pre-snap penalties left and right. He couldn't grasp the basic concept of an offense. And then he went to Cleveland. I don't know how it or why it ended in Cleveland, but it didn't end well there. If you're doing stupid stuff with the Buffalo Bills, then I don't know if there's hope for you. I don't know if you'll change as a player because if you go into an organization that is a winner and you have your final shot in the NFL and that's what you're doing, you're better off cutting and set that example for all the other young guys. We're just not going to tolerate that. And because it doesn't cost you anything to cut Elijah Moore because he doesn't make anything. And it's sad because I like Elijah Moore's talent. He's got problems in between here. And I don't know if you can fix that. And it's the old saying we say, you can't fix stupid. And unfortunately, he's done too many stupid things. And he's talented. The kid's got talent, and it's a shame. So I'm with you on that one. As far as AJ is, can you, if the money was okay, could you cut him and be okay depth-wise? I just don't know your roster well enough to know that.
Well, I'll say this. When in what are we, week 4? 2 more weeks, I guess. Yeah, we'll be just fine.
Oh, is that when some of those players that were on the suspend list come back?
Yes, we will be just fine.
Okay.
We will be just fine. Um, all right, so real quick, Stevie D, I do want to talk about. So this week it's Patriots week. I can't believe I'm saying this. I can't believe I'm saying this, but please go back to the 1 o'clock starts.
What
It's
time you got this?
it's another Sunday. It's a Sunday night, 8 o'clock. Here we go again. It's driving me nuts. And shame on me for begging, years of begging.
Yes, yes.
And I mean, I would be upset when the schedule would come out and we didn't have a Monday night game.
People, you have no idea the conversations we've had through the years on that.
It was bad. I was like, the disrespect that they give us. Oh, yeah, it was bad. It was bad. But enough. But it's Patriots week. It's Cold Rush game. All right. Get show off the New Jerseys. Not New Jersey, the New Jerseys. All right. But please understand, Sean McDermott, Brandon Bean, this is to you. Please understand, even though we are playing on paper what is an inferior team, that's who we're going up against when we're playing the Patriots. They are 2-2. They are not just an average 2-2. They are on the cusp. They are building something. They have a good young quarterback. They have, interestingly enough, former wide receivers. Mac Hollins, Stephon Diggs over there. This isn't going to be like playing the Saints, Jets, and Dolphins. It is not. You can't come out and just assume that because you're the Buffalo Bills that you're going to go through and you're going to beat them. They are hungry. You always have the target on your back. You want to sit there and talk about we're the 5-time defending AFC East champions. Okay. All the more for somebody to try to knock you down. They're coming for us. They are absolutely coming for us.
And they're a better coach team with Mike Vrabel, right? So, Mike Vrabel's going to get these guys ready to play. He's going to have something up their sleeve to give them the motivation of a divisional game against Buffalo.
Yes.
So you're going to get their best.
And they have bought in. Now, in fairness, Stevie D, their wins have come against the Panthers and the Dolphins. In fairness. But I'm still going to tell you, sometimes they say erase the records when these two teams meet up. That's the same when the Bills play the Jets, the Bills play the Dolphins, and the Bills play the Patriots. It doesn't matter. They're coming to beat you, just like we were coming to beat them, except for I have no idea what we would do when we would go to play them. We would just fall apart. But we should have been coming to beat them. So there is no trap game. There is no overlooking. And what are we overlooking for? The Falcons? I mean, seriously, what are we overlooking for? I expect that this team comes out, it's a primetime game, and that you show, Josh, why you are Superman, but that you can also play as Clark Kent, meaning I expect the offensive line to block. I expect the running backs, which I got no beef. Really, no offensive beef. Really, I expect Joe Brady to be a good coordinator in this game. That's what I expect. On the defensive side of the ball, that's where I have the expectations are raised a lot higher, Stevie D. They're raised a lot higher. I don't want any of this buddy, rah BS happening with Diggs and Hollins. If that means that you need to knock somebody's block off and he comes across the middle, you do it. Fair game. At the end of the game, shake his hand, say, there's nothing but love here. But when that game starts, they are the enemy. And you need to go after them and treat them as such. I don't care that Drake May is a young quarterback. Too bad. If you have an open shot, you take it. Legal, you take it. You need to set an example. You need to set an example for yourself that you are a dominant team. Everybody says, oh, you're a Super Bowl favorite. Well, then prove it. We've seen other teams in other years that when they said that they were a Super Bowl team, they proved it. The team you are playing on Sunday proved it year in and year out. They used you as the whipping bag. They couldn't wait to get you on prime time. They could not wait. That's the only time we got on prime time. It wouldn't be Sunday night football. It would be that Monday night where everybody has to play, or that Thursday night where everybody has to play. And I think one time we got flexed, and they CBS or NBC ruined the day when that happened because the Patriots hung like half 100 on us. Well, do the same thing. I keep saying it. Do the same thing.
Yeah. As much as Belichick, I didn't like Belichick and the Patriots. I thought they always did a good job of not playing down to their competition and ripping their heart out when they had the opportunities to break the will. And then they would just pile on, and it would be, a 30-point victory. And I think ultimately that's where you're trying to go with the Bills, right? If you want to say that you're that upper echelon, top tier team, when you have inferior teams, you have to rip their heart out in the first half and break their will by the time you get into the third quarter. And you've had opportunities. Again, week one, I don't think the Ravens were a slouch of a team. They're 1-3. They're 1-3. But your last three games for sure, for on paper, when you look at those rosters compared to your roster and your coaching staff, you would expected the blowouts. You got it against the Jets. It was never a game there. Your last two games, I mean, Miami, that could have been an absolute disaster there. If you don't have that interception on, I don't know what Tua was thinking there. And again, you let the Saints hang around to give them that confidence that maybe they could win. And so the final result, to your point earlier, don't be fooled by the final result. That game was a lot closer to about, 4 minutes to go in that game. It was a lot closer, especially because it was a one-possession game. So I hear you. Somehow Sean has got to get that through to his team. Like, we got to stomp these guys out. Stomp them out. Play like we're capable of playing. And just stuff this out, and it's to what you've always said for the last couple of years, right? If you play 50, you don't have to play 60 or something, whatever the comment is.
Yeah.
I forget exactly how you word it, but so we'll see.
Well, yeah, that good show, good conversation, a lot of
A lot of topics around the NFL today.
yeah, a lot of back and forth with the people that tuned in. We appreciate it. It helps keep the show going in different directions, but we also like to see the infighting, the little back and forth, right? You sit back with our popcorn, kind of watch that as it goes through. But definitely, we certainly we appreciate it. That's for sure. So I will say there won't be a rapid reaction unless you want to see somebody unhinged. So let's just plan on there not being a rapid reaction. But if somehow something happens that I don't want to have happen, we'll be live. We will be live. You are looking live. That is for sure. Because then I'll have something to get off my chest. Outside of that, Stevie D, are you doing rapid reaction after the Jets game?
I don't know. Richard's coming home this weekend, so I don't know right now. I got to figure that out.
So stay tuned for that. Check us out on all of our social media platforms for updates and just postings. Obviously,
I'll definitely put a post out there for if I'm doing the rapid reaction. I'll make sure it's early enough. I just haven't figured this scenario out at the house with Richard and stuff. So
okay, we'll make sure everybody that if you haven't become a member. Make sure you're a member there of Jets Hangar. Make sure you are a member of the ever-growing Mafia Den. Leaps and bounds. I don't know what has happened. Wow. Now, not as far as the leaps and bounds at Jets Hangar. It's time to step it up, Bills fans. But daily updates of people joining. We love it. We love it. So yes, definitely check out Jets Hangar and Mafia Den. And then next Wednesday, 8 p.m. We will definitely be back on to do a little recap of Week 5 in the NFL. All the things that are happening, and never a dull moment in the NFL. So, all right, Stevie D, anything to say before we wrap this one up?
Great show. Appreciate everybody for joining, and we'll catch you next week.
All right, very good. For my co-host, I'm Stevie D. I'm Vince, and we'll talk to you soon.
Tune in tight, don't miss a